We'll stand for the pledge, please. I put
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll begin with the minutes of the 5:21 meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to accept. Moved by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Mike. Discussion, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Thank you. Public comments. Samantha, go ahead.
Hello.
Let's say your name, please.
Samantha DeRocher, I'm the youth rep director. I have the proposed outlines and a couple extra stuff that I came up with after I sent this to Debbie. So this would be the information packet, the outline, and then the medical consent forms.
Thank you.
And these two, it would be like the permission slip template for our trips on Thursdays. And it's just highlighted there because I'm not sure if we're going to be leaving from the pavilion of the school. I still have to talk to Mrs. Barlow about that. And those are the trips. Okay. Right now I have all this tentative. I mean, I have all the reservations that I have the few deposits for the holds. Like I said, I called and left messages 3 times with Mrs. Philo for her to call me back, and she hasn't. So I just took up and left the schedule for what days I would need the buses and where we would be going with her. So just waiting to hear from her so I can finish that. And the other question I have, and why it's highlighted on the front packet, is the question that I had is Thursdays, if our trip days are canceled, do you just want me to leave the days open and have it canceled? Or would you just want me to have like a regular day and do another craft with them from 8:30 to 12:30? You know, something that I would leave up to you guys, and either way, just let me know.
Nancy?
I think in the past, they just canceled
Yeah.
because they had the other days, but if, I don't know if you want to just add a regular, it might get confusing.
What would be the reason to canceling?
Like rain dates or something like that, or if something happened where we couldn't go. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I can add events and stuff if you guys want me to. If not, then I can just leave it as it's canceled and there's no rec that day. That's what they've done in the past, but
My
it seems like
concern would be if
they're
parents
missing
were
out.
leaving kids that would have to have a place to go to, maybe they would have to. If they,
But if you're doing a trip, you're doing it all day.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
of the trips are like
And if
8:30 to
she's just
3.
doing 8:30 to 12:30, that
yeah.
could really get confusing. You may end up bringing a bunch home.
Oh, that's the other thing that I wrote in here, is I want to make sure that it's okay with you guys, is on the second page of the header. I put on there that all children must be picked up by 12:30. If there are any issues being late, please call me, and I put my cell phone number. And we're going to be staying, the aides and I will be staying till 1 o'clock anyways to finish up and prep for the next day. I put iPlace on there. I will be able to stay until 1:30 at the latest. After that, I cannot be responsible by regulation because I wouldn't be on the town's time anymore.
You shouldn't have to be.
I mean, I mean,
no.
That's above and
the
beyond.
way I am, I wouldn't care, but I know like by everybody else, I really can't. Yeah, that's just me as a mom.
I mean, I think just as a parent in the past, if the trip is canceled, recreation is
Okay,
canceled.
that's fine. I just didn't know if maybe if we could add a day if something happened.
But you would leave your child off without making sure that the bus was there, would you?
No, but if say parent made arrangements to do something else because their kid was gonna be at this, and then last minute finding out to cancel, then,
That's-
I mean, you could let me know, and I have no problem like figuring out some more
oh,
activities
I
to do.
don't.
So the notification would be when they show up, or how?
I would hope it would be Wednesday because that's when I'd be sending home a reminder of like the things that they need for that trip and what we're doing again. That I'd be able to cancel by then, but if something happens, like it.
So it'd be based on
the weather.
Tomorrow's forecast.
Yeah. I mean, if something happened in the morning, I would call all the parents that I have permission slips from and definitely let them know, this is what happened, we can't do the trip anymore.
Okay, so they would be notified ahead of time.
Yeah, I would notify them as close ahead of time as I could, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that then.
Now, for any of the ones that we have
I'll
deposits
drop them off to
on,
you.
would that
Put 'em
be
in
able to
your
be
office.
moved maybe to another day, or?
The other problem is with our trip, the way the schedule is, our trip days are only on Thursdays, so.
So it wouldn't work.
Some
No,
of
that's
them,
fine.
you can't really do it on other days.
That's fine. Just a question.
That's basically what I have. I just want to make sure that everything was approved and looks okay. That way I can have Nancy and Debbie make all the copies and stuff for me, and I can put them together and have them delivered to the school by Wednesday to get to the kids.
Okay. Great,
Did you see these?
thank you.
We all got them.
Okay.
And father-daughter dance, the flyers went out from the school and were sent home today. So that should be getting in here. I have 3 fathers that will be there right as of right now. So.
And I advertised it in the paper. They haven't sent me back the proof yet, so I can have it by tomorrow.
Okay.
Be in the paper this week.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Please.
Dan, I've got some questions, and maybe you can answer them for me. The last power outage, the last couple, you haven't declared a state of emergency that I'm aware of. Without that, the school isn't open for people that may need a restroom, may need something, power or whatever. Without the emergency operations center at the town hall or the fire hall, with you in charge, we aren't getting information from National Grid on how long this power is going to be out. In the past, the fire department's helped the town. I don't know if the town still has a list of people in need, but it would be nice to know. This last time, some of them almost ran out of propane. If it had been colder out, they would have been out of propane, which would have meant no generator, no heat. I didn't have any information. I stopped a tree company that was in from outside the area. He was ready to pack up and leave our area before he did anything. He couldn't communicate with his people because Frontier has a lousy battery backup system on top of the mountain. We had no cell coverage. He couldn't talk to his people. He couldn't buy fuel in town to fuel his trucks up. I went out of the way, called the jail. Emergency management wasn't set up at the county level either, so I took it upon myself and I called Jeff Eldridge, and Jeff supplied him with fuel on the fleet credit card he had. We do have people, you know, we've got 800 and some people, residents of the town. When the tourists are here, it's doubled by 11 by the emergency management plan. I picked it up, I said, okay, let me know what I'm supposed to do. And I read it, and let's see, Frank Mazzano's still the supervisor, Doug Parker's still the sheriff. It was a little out of date, and no phone numbers because we don't want anybody to have our phone numbers at home or whatever reason, but that's in the emergency management plan. I think that should change, at least to the people involved. I had a neighbor, they had their grandson here, he's got cystic fibrosis. He has to do a breathing treatment, and he puts a chest on it, beats on his chest 3 times a day. I got him a generator, I got it up and running. But no fuel for the guys that come in to work, no communications. Randy closed the road, the county didn't know it, I knew it, and I told the county because I happened to stop at the jail. But in this, they're supposed to be notified, so if we have an emergency, we can plan around it on how to get an ambulance, a fire truck, or some other means of rescue to people on those roads. Sometimes we can't do it, but at least we're aware of it. And I think the town should seriously either update this or do something, because it's so far out of date, it's ridiculous. and it's the town's responsibility and their legal responsibility to have this up to date. I don't know why you didn't declare a state of emergency. It opens a whole bunch of resources to us. You could probably get a hold of National Grid, or should be able to let us know how long the power's gonna be out.
We were in contact with National Grid.
Nope, nobody else knew it, Dan.
We were
No.
can I finish?
Yeah,
We were waiting for any reasonable idea of how long the power would be out. We didn't find out until 6 hours before the power came back on, when the power was gonna come back on. We had no answers from them. We couldn't make contact because of no cell service. We were in, Don at the county and I were both scrambling, trying to come up with a solution to the problems. We both were going around seeing people personally to make sure they were okay. When do you feel is the proper time to
I
declare an
don't know.
emergency?
This is, I'm not saying when the lights go out, but after 4 to 5 hours, there's gotta be a way National Grid can look at us up here and tell us, listen, we don't know. It might be a day, it might be 2 days. I don't care if they say it's a week. Sometime they have to give us a rough estimate, or at least you, and you've gotta be able to transmit it to us. There's no
That didn't
internet,
happen.
there's no cell phones.
That didn't happen.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
it should happen if we declare a state of emergency. I'm sorry, it should.
The question, I guess, is when do we reach the point to declare a state of emergency? And with what information? At that point, we had no information.
But we didn't have the information for days.
Right.
And, and there was no communications between, I kept the fire hall generator going. We opened it, we had a couple people ask if they could come in and take a shower. We did, but if we had declared a state of emergency, or if you had,
So
The
at
school
what time,
would have been open.
at what time are you suggesting we declare a state of emergency? At what point?
it depends on the temperature, it depends on the
Okay,
weather.
that
There's
was
lot
a
of
factor
things.
we took into
But there's-
consideration. It wasn't below 0 out.
And there's another way to do it if you aren't sure yourself. You got Speculator Fire Department, you got Lake Pleasant, you got the ambulance corps, and you got your highway department.
We were in contact with the county board of supervisors. We're all in
The
contact.
jail had no idea what roads were closed because they just weren't.
Well, they were-
I found out when I
On that
came
note,
down to there.
I didn't tell them that the road I closed.
Right.
But via radio.
It was, yeah, I had stopped it, that's where I was headed after I saw you, so I let them know, but it was the idea. Nobody knew National Grid was bringing water, and that was a joke in itself, and the time frame. But that's what Emergency Operations Center should set up, and so we have some way to communicate with our neighbors and let them know.
Can I ask a question of Bill?
Sure.
I would think, I just read this emergency plan. I got a copy of it 2 weeks ago. I read the whole thing, I agree, it's horrible. It's long on a lot
It was the
of,
first one. It was
I
good for
understand
being
that.
the first one.
And it was in response to 911 and Homeland Security mandated everybody come up with a plan, and really they were operating blind. So my question to you is, if there were some members of the town board that were willing to sit down and go over this with you and Phil Malidi, or, everybody that would be involved, because it desperately needs to have specifics. Like I'm reading, well, in case of the most likely natural disasters that might occur in our town, and then there's no mention of what they might be. I don't know what roads are the most subject to flooding and heavy rain, and I think it should be in the plan.
The last time we had a power outage, I had a phone call from National Grid saying it would probably be 6 to 8 hours before the power came back on. I contacted some people with that concern. Some of them made trips from as far away as Kingston, New York, only to find out within the 2-hour trip up here, the power was back on.
Dan, that's going to happen, and I understand that. But if we open the Emergency Operations Center where you're there, you call the chief from Speculator, you call myself.
That's why I'm asking you, at what
Because
point,
I
at what
don't
point,
know.
at
I'm
what
saying-
point are you suggesting that we do that? 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours? I'm looking for some guidance.
And I understand your dilemma. Now, if we wait 2 hours to see if it's a little one, if you're in contact, or if somehow you can set up contact with National Grid, so we know you're in contact with National Grid. Then if you do no more than contact the people that are running the other agencies and say, listen, it's gonna be 2 or 3 hours. Or call the jail, tell them dispatch Lake Pleasant Speculator and the ambulance corps, just put information only that the power's supposed to be back on in 3 hours.
Well,
That'll
that-
spread through this town and county like,
In that instance, how's he gonna call anybody? Nobody had an ability to call anybody, so.
Well, they
That's
did for a
something
while.
Well,
You're
yeah.
suggesting he go sit in a building and everybody go to him, or he has to drive all around because there was no phone, there was no cell phone, there was no internet, there was nothing.
That's something I think that should be addressed. The tower only has a battery, it doesn't have a generator.
Right.
and it should have
And
it.
it should have a
this is what-
generator, I mean, that seems really stupid.
And they've
you
added
know.
so much on, Nance, not to interrupt you, but they've added so
No.
much on, the thing doesn't last 4 hours.
So that's
unfortunately, all
why,
our
But even if
people-
they had a generator, are they gonna have 1,000-gallon tank of propane to run it? Because then somebody's gotta go up there and put gasoline in it.
Can I,
My generator at the fire hall ran for 4 days, or it has the capability of running for 4 days. And that's their problem, to figure out how much they need up there.
But do they care?
probably, obviously not, if it's, you know, but that's something that perhaps we
the
should.
power went off on May the 4th. At 8:36 in the morning on the 5th, I sent a text to Tom Wing, who's with National Grid, our contact person. I'm sure you're busy. Any word on when we may get power back here in Lake Pleasant? His answer was, the effects of the windstorm have been devastating to some areas with the capital and northeast regions being hit the hardest. We are calling in additional crews to assist. We are still assessing all the damages.
That's probably a
That went
canned
on,
answer
that went
they
on
give
for
everybody.
over a day.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking you, at what point are you suggesting we declare it a state of an emergency?
Okay, I'll put it back to you. Depending on the weather conditions, if it's 35 below zero,
It was warm,
it was warm, so it wasn't cold.
right?
But after 4 to 5 hours, we should have some idea. And I'm not blaming you, but we should have some communications amongst the emergency responders in the town. So we can, and if you let the ambulance corps, the fire departments know, I don't know how many other people, but I'm sure a lot of people carry, as scanners in their home, they listen to all this stuff.
There's no electricity.
Well, some have generators, some don't, but who needs oxygen? We need to know how long does their oxygen. I don't have all the answers. I'm just bringing it to the attention of the board. I'm not here to argue.
Kelly?
Colleen Smith, and just very briefly, doesn't it make sense that you would initiate this on the recommendation of the people who are in the field? When you hear from them that they need emergency service,
The way I understand it, the normal procedure is Don Purdy is to contact me and suggest that we declare a state of emergency. That didn't happen.
I'm just asking why, and I just, after 3 days, and even National Grid understood that it was time to bring in water and dry ice, even though they were a day late, $1 short, and really ridiculous, but at least by that point, we should have done something before it gets to the point where people run out of heat, where they run out of oxygen. I mean, years ago, I remember one storm in the winter, the fire department, we went around, checked on certain people, had a list. We made up jumper cables, we ran their furnace for like half an hour. And luckily it was people here year round. We didn't have to contend with a summer, but we have summer residents or, homeowners that are paying taxes here that also have no communication, no way of knowing who to contact. It's just an idea, I'm just asking, that's all.
I
We
think
do have
you're
a list.
bringing up a lot of good
People do go
things.
to the town
Wait a
already.
minute, please. You do understand, we do have a list, and we do contact the people that are on our list.
Okay. I mean, as
The
fire
list needs to
chief,
be
it would have
updated.
been really nice to know if you were doing anything, Dan. maybe that's my question too.
I'm not sure, I'm not, at this point, on the county level, through the Department of Health, the County Department of Health, we're working on updating our lists, because they've got people on their lists that, in our area, that we've never had on our list. So, that's something we're working on. The list is very confusing, because a lot of people don't have landlines anymore. They've gone over from landlines to cell phones, trying to track people down. At one point, Don Purdy and I just drove around Page Street and hit all the roads around that we could to find people, the pages on Page Street and some of the people on South Shore Road, just to knock on the door to make sure they were okay. I'm not sure what else we could have done at that point.
We're there to assist, but if we aren't contacted, we don't know. We can't assist.
Dan, I think there's a good idea though about putting it over the emergency radio, just that, you know, if anybody needs anything to contact, because that will
Can't
get
hurt.
around.
Can't hurt.
Yeah, you know, because a lot of people do have generators right now, and they pick that up, and then everybody tells everybody everything, so.
You gotta make sure too, and remember when you're rewriting the plan, you can't always focus on power going out in the summer and having that be the state of emergency, or the winter. You have to remember the summer, because with the humidity and the heat, and the people with COPD and CHF, they need assistance, because if they don't get dehumidified air or it gets to it, you're gonna have people drop in.
But and in the summertime, we have a lot of people that aren't here year-round, and trying to
Yeah.
keep track of those people, if they're here, when they're here, and what condition they're in, can be quite difficult, but I kind of rely on the County Department of Health to supply us with that information.
Like I said, everybody's worried about like not having communication, but word of mouth in this town is your best communication. So you gotta talk to everybody. Especially if you have afflictions.
If you have any suggestions, I'd be glad to.
Dan, I was just asking why we didn't, and I guess nobody has any ideas, so.
Well, I think part of the reason,
part of
I
it-
had internet access the whole time,
I didn't
because
have
we have
any.
a generator.
Once the power goes out.
You're
if
done.
you're past, even though I had power at the house, the internet needs power to run.
I'm close enough to their office, workstation, whatever you want to call it, I guess, that mine worked. But what I wanted to tell you is, I kept checking every few hours. And every few hours, they were saying, oh, power's gonna be back on at 6 PM. Power's gonna be back on at midnight. Power will be back on at 8
That's what they were
AM.
doing.
So, yeah, and
There should- you know, I understand that part of it, Chris, but somewhere in their bureaucracy, somehow, the county or the town or someone has gotta be able to get a hold of someone in there where they can just be honest with you and say, listen, we got no idea. We're devastated here. That should just, that's all I gotta say is I know we're on the end of the loop, but somewhere, somebody's gotta know something.
Well, if
And
you
there's
figure out who
gotta be a
that,
way our leaders can communicate with those people. And I think that's the responsibility of the county and the town to find that opening there somewhere.
well, through National Grid, we do have a contact person who handles this type of thing, and that's who I was in contact with.
You got
That's
a
the best thing.
recording and you got no answers from him and he should, there's gotta
Because
be
he
a
had no
way.
answers. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you what this.
understand, I'm
yeah.
not arguing with you,
Yeah.
I understand, but I still think it's ridiculous, not for you, but on
Yeah.
their end, and somehow through the state or something, somebody ought to bring them to task to say, I mean, if you declare a state of emergency, labor laws go out of the windows, not all of them, but some of them. And they send a person home after whatever hours, 'cause I ran into her the next day. I had to go home for 8 hours, and all she was doing was going around checking to see where things were down. And it was ridiculous, the time frame where you can't work after because of normal rules which don't pertain during a state of emergency.
Well, if your department has any suggestions on how to do this better, please jot them down, and we'd be glad to review them. All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We'll move on to highway. Randy?
Okay. Paving, we obviously did the parking lot here. According to the newspaper, we did the wrong parking lot. It says we're supposed to do the town hall, which was done previously. But this one came out very well after the second day. First day got rained out. Tamarack Road was paved from end to end. Not without some situations. Pavers broke, rain, so on and so forth. And one of our trucks broke down, thankfully. One truck short of getting underneath the paving, the blacktop plant. The county was nice enough to go down with a lowboy and haul it back to us, which I appreciate. And hopefully in a couple days that'll be back on the road. The culvert was changed due to some concerns of landowners. Culvert on Caucus Road was too small, and last year's 4th of July rainstorm, and I believe there was one September. Both of those, the water ran over the top of the road because the culvert couldn't take enough and went down to taxpayers' driveways, wiping out their driveways. We were brought, after the second one brought up to our attention late fall. So first thing this spring we changed it, which we did last week. Went from a 15-inch to an 18-inch culvert. We're doing some pouring rocks on Caucus Road also. Getting ready to chip seal that road next. And then we will be putting a thin coat on top of Fawn Lake Road. That will be the end of our paving. Hopefully have this all done by July 4th weekend, weather depending. So, and besides for a few trees down here and there and the lovely beavers plugging culverts, that they're keeping us very busy. That's all I had.
All right, looking at buildings. Okay. I'll move into old business. The first thing I had on the agenda was the grant writing resolution, which was tabled. At this time, it doesn't look like the village is going to be pursuing the grant for the sewer and water projects, so I'm going to suggest that we scrap that grant, that resolution, because it just wouldn't be feasible for the town to spend $5,000 toward a probably $60,000 grant for one of our private businesses. And there is another avenue which is farther down the agenda under new business, which I'll bring up later in reference to that. The next thing we have is the board meeting rules and procedures, which we all have a copy of, and hopefully everybody's reviewed them. If Nancy and Chris did a nice job with that, I think I'm very satisfied with it.
Yeah, good job.
Yep.
Is there an extra copy?
You can have, if you can make a copy later, we'll make sure I still have a copy of it. So,
Make a copy of it on your desk phone.
okay, thanks. So everybody's in favor of the rules and procedures as written? Okay, good. Next thing I had was the fire tower project, which at this point I still haven't heard anything from the village, so that's still on hold. I'm not sure how they're pursuing it, if they're pursuing it, and where they're at with it right now. So, does anybody else have any other old business?
I do.
Randy?
I apologize. Reading my notes, I completely forgot. Job applications. We've been advertising for Don Bryant's HEO, but as a seasonal laborer. We have received 0 applicants. I take that back. We've received 0 applicants that are interested in seasonal employment. I have gotten 2 new applicants for full-time. And one of them is dependent on the time frame in which we hire. And the other one is right now having medical issues. So we're kind of at a standstill again. I've talked to Mike and Bob about this. I would like to advertise this as a full-time and position, depending on what we get for applicants. If we get anybody with CDL qualifications, leave it open to hire as an MEO. That would go back, give me another CDL driver. The labor position is fine at this point in time, but we went from 6 HEOs down to 3 that we have now. And, we're bringing up MEOs, I have one that's going to be becoming an HEO real soon. He meets all the qualifications, just doing a little refining. But the seasonal applications are 0. And summertime is obviously one of the busy times that we need personnel. I have right now 7 employees, which is way low. For instance, today I had 1 on vacation and 3 out sick. With garbage and recycling 3 days a week now, I need that, at least that person back. We wanted them to hire June 1st, but that's not happening. So I guess I'm looking for permission to advertise and hire at least a full-time laborer. If the qualifications are in the applicants, be able to offer the MEO position, which is the CDL driving and stuff. It's $1 an hour more on the county scale, $1.02 or something like that. So if this person has a CDL license, it's well worth the investment, I believe. I know there's an insurance cost to going full-time, but it won't affect this year's budget because they'll be on 6-month probation. By the time they apply and we advertise and everything, the 6 months will be beyond the first of the year.
I wonder if you advertise just for summer help, if you'd find somebody for the summer. Because I think we
Well-
had talked about both summer and winter.
Yes, and that's what I advertised, was next June till September.
Yeah, I
and
wonder
I've-
though, if people got the impression that if they apply, they'd have to work in the summer and then have to work in the winter too. Because some people might be able to work in the summer, like college students, but not in the winter.
Right, and I spoke to a college student that inquired, and he was going back August 17th. And that doesn't even get us to Labor Day.
Yeah,
So the college student really, anything is better than nothing, but that doesn't fit the bill.
okay.
And it's a whole lot of safety gear that we gotta supply and everything else that for a month and a half now is what we're looking at, 2 months maybe. That's why the 4-month thing was bare minimum, I thought.
Bob, your thoughts?
We need people, we gotta do what we gotta do, not necessarily what we wanna do.
So you're asking to advertise for a full-time position, full-time laborer at this point?
Right, and if we get, for whatever reason, that somebody that's qualified for the MEO, I'd like to be able to offer that also. Because if they come in with a CDL license and I say I only have a labor position, I know that, the first thing they're gonna say is, well, I have a CDL license, why don't I qualify for the MEO? And, I don't wanna deter them. for the dollar.
But you need someone to fill a laborer's position though, correct?
Correct. They still, and everybody there does, it's not a union job, it's not, you know,
Whatever the job,
whatever the job needs, everybody works. I mean, that's,
could be picking garbage or it could be mowing
Right.
the lawn.
I had senior mechanics flagging on Thursday. I mean, it is what it
It
is.
is what it is.
All right. Everybody okay with advertising for the full-time position?
Yeah, I'll move that.
Moved by Bob,
Second.
second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
And I just have one more question. When-
Yep.
I know you've got staff since you became highway superintendent. How many full-time staff do you have now?
7
It is 7, really?
currently.
I think you desperately need somebody. Because it used to be 13, right?
13 way back when, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And, I mean, 8 is, with me making it 9 would be bare minimum, in the wintertime at least.
Eight,
Mhm.
eight,
Yeah.
8 with you.
Right now, we're 8 with me.
Right.
Normally, it's 8 plus me, making it 9.
Okay, we're all, Chris, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that,
Okay.
thank you.
We're all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other old business?
Sorry.
Do we
Hearing
need
no-
a resolution for the rules of procedure to adopt it, or just because we agree
I
with it?
think we need to adopt it.
Yeah, totally.
Can we just adopt the rules of procedure as written?
I don't think.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Okay, and we're all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Not opposed, okay. New business, the first thing I have is the CFA informational meeting. The date on the agenda is incorrect, it's been changed to 6/11 at 12 o'clock. It's really not a public meeting, it's more for possible applicants to get information from the Empire State Development, who's gonna be available that day. And this leads to the applicant that we're looking at the grant writing for. If anybody knows of any other projects that might be in the works where they might be applying for some funding through the state, this would be a good time to get answers as far as what's available, and
Where's it gonna be held?
it's gonna be held at the county building in the conference room. at
County
noon.
building down here?
Yeah. Again, it's really more for the applicants to come and get information. It's not really a public meeting, so.
And they would get applications there or the applications?
They would
are-
get the information to fill out for the applications. There will be some public workshops on filling out the consolidated
Yeah,
funding
sure.
applications coming up, but this is a informational meeting for interested applicants.
Dan, what does CFA stand for?
Consolidated funding application. You okay, Deb? Yep, okay. Next thing I had was the LED streetlight application for the town and the village. Again, I haven't heard anything from the village, but offered to help them with the application if need be. But I've heard nothing on that. But at this time, our application is already in. And I'm told not to expect to hear anything right away. It could be a little while, so. No.
That email, excuse me, that email that you forwarded from Cheryl, wasn't that hearing from her that she wanted to work with us, or?
Yeah, but we can't apply for a grant for streetlights that they pay for.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah,
So you're just.
yeah, I've
waiting for
offered to
them.
help her, but I've heard nothing since, so.
Okay. You
Um,
would think that an intermunicipal agreement or application would have more weight.
Yeah, if that's
But-
possible,
But, yeah,
that's what I was offering to help, yeah. All right, I've added another thing to the agenda here. And that's in reference to the town right away on Golf Course Road. Now's the time some of these people are coming back, and some of the people are not real happy with the sign that was put up. I've been in contact with a couple of the homeowners, and I'm sure we'll probably be seeing some of them at the next meeting. I tried to explain to them that it is a town-owned right-of-way. They do have deeded right-of-ways to parts of it. But the property is owned by the town, and for liability reasons, I think we made a good choice as far as what can and can't be done.
I went up and pulled some deeds today, and every one that I happen to know of, I'm told there are 14 private rights of way over that property.
Oh, I thought there was
Every one that,
five.
no, he
Okay.
keeps talking about 5 families. They're the ones that tell everybody else they can't use it.
Okay.
The, what?
It's true, I've been there, I've been told.
Yeah, that's what
I didn't
happens.
know.
And the deeds of these particular people specify bathing only.
Right.
So if they've had 40 years of doing what they darn well pleased on that beach, then they should count themselves lucky.
Right.
That's my opinion. I just think that it's wrong that they treated it like their own private property. They broke a contract when they signed the deed and agreed it would only be used for bathing purposes. They're lucky nobody's taken them to court. You know, like my daughter-in-law who got kicked off the beach.
Oh, no
You
kidding.
know? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. She's the kind of person that would think about going to court. Seriously. So
All right, well,
that's just my opinion on that. I just think that they're really trying to get away with something. That's how I feel.
I got a question. How long has the town actually,
just state, we need you to state your name, Dick.
Dick Eliezer, how long has the town actually owned this parcel of property? Because I'm one of those that's involved, and my deed says nothing about bathing only. It
Okay.
just gives me a right of way to Sacandaga through whatever the address is of that piece of property.
Mhm.
But how long has the
We've
town
got-
actually owned it? I know that the golf course, because I went all through this a while ago, trying to figure out who owns what. And the golf course, it started off with Charlie Johns owning the whole thing back
I think it was
about 50 or 70 years ago,
Osborne. I
Robert
believe.
Osborne. Yeah.
way
Yeah.
back. And then the golf course owned it at some point, and then along the line, the city got, and the Lake
Yeah.
Pleasant got involved. Does anybody know how long ago that was?
I believe on the one deed that I did have, which I don't have with me, did have a date referencing the town, it being.
Like the
town
late
property.
90s or so.
93 sticks in my mind, don't
Yeah,
hold me to that, it was either
I'm-
93 or 97.
I'm remembering the 90s
Yeah.
at some point.
1997.
97?
Okay, well,
I think
that's-
Bob,
I said 99 or
Yeah.
98, you said 90, so that's about the middle of it, which is, and, you know, why would the town have even taken over that piece? I mean, was the town in the real estate business back in 97? What would be their reason for taking over that 50-foot swath of land that so many people have deeded right-of-ways to? Just sounds like a can of worms, which it's turned out to be.
Well, it's a
apparently.
can of worms. You
Yeah,
know.
and apparently, and a lot of these people, including myself, must be working under different rules and regulations. Back in 1982, when I owned my property, or bought mine, the town didn't own that property. I don't even know if the golf course owned it at that point. So we've been through several ownerships or changes of ownerships, and the owners obviously have some varying opinions. And I mean, I know that it went up that we're worried about the liability. Well, yeah, it probably is liability, but you know what, there's liability going to town hall too. What happens if you trip over the rug walking into the town hall? That's a liability. You know, if you drowned under right of way, it's a liability, but I don't, you know,
Well,
I don't know what we're getting into here.
I don't see where the problem, and then as you with the landowner with the right of way, I'm gonna bounce this off you. The sign doesn't forbid anybody from using that beach.
Absolutely, it's a town-owned piece of property, so
Right.
everybody should have
It
that.
just limits what can be done on the,
Understand,
And it's very reasonable.
and not to me though. It's
and
not
these were
me.
Well, that's
suggestions.
why I'm asking, how's your, what, how,
I'll
what
tell
is
you,
your
I'll tell you
opinion
where my
of it?
story comes from, and I've been fighting this out with the tax assessors for years.
Mhm.
I personally am assessed $20,000 for that piece of property. My real estate taxes represent, my assessment is $20,000 more than it would be without that assessment. So I'm paying taxes on that, and then I'm paying taxes to the town. I'm being double taxed for that piece of property, which I never use. I've been on that piece of property twice. Once when the incident came up, when we were gonna be putting signs up probably 9 months or so ago, and once about 30 years ago when I walked down to see what it was. So, to me, it doesn't matter, but my assessment is way, way too high, which I can't get anybody to do a thing about. I've been to the tax assessor, the former tax assessor, I've been up to the guy up in the Hamilton County building. Tough, you're out of luck. What do I do with it? I don't want it. Doesn't do me a bit of good.
Have you compared your assessment on that right away to those that other people own?
I have. Oh, no, not that. I've compared mine to other properties with similar, and again, it's tough here because everybody's house is different. But I've compared other houses with the same square footage as mine, other properties with the same square footage, and my assessment's $20,000 higher.
Oh, so it's not a separate assessment?
No.
Because I don't remember.
It's just
how ours used
included
to be.
because they think that this is a very valuable piece. It's 2.1 miles
Mhm.
from my driveway to that piece of property. And legally, you can't walk across the golf course. You gotta go out Route 80, down Golf Course Road, all the way around the end of it. So it's useless. You could drive down with a car, or maybe some teenager could drive a bicycle down. But again, this isn't your problem, this is mine, as far as the assessment go, and it's ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And I don't know where this is gonna go with the rest of these people, because again, they're through different ownership. I mean, I don't even know who the people are. I know there's 2 right-of-ways down there
Mhm.
that people have been deeded. One is down by Edelman's property, and the other one, I think, is up on the other end somewhere.
Oh, I thought they were next to
No,
each
they're
other.
side by side.
They are side.
No, that's the 50-foot divided by 2.
Right.
But there's another one somewhere else with a different number on
I believe that was purchased by Sal Machado, that other right away that
Yeah,
you're referring
that's
to.
not.
it. Is that right? But I knew that it was
Yeah.
But in any case, that's my story, and it's not equitable like a lot of things. And you know what? Things used to be done on napkins and pieces of paper and on the inside of your hand. It's a new day. So somebody's got to bring things up to speed, like the fire chief was discussing with the Homeland Security. And again, you know what? I'll say something about that. When National Grid has a power outage like we had, just common sense tells you that they're gonna go to work in Albany and try to get 50,000 people back online before they're gonna worry about 800 people. That's just
Yeah.
common sense. That doesn't, so yeah, we're the third, we're way down in the bottom of the chain.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I mean, you know, when you got masses of people, you gotta get them going back, back first, which is fine. But again, the not knowing, I mean, I call the phone number too. The power's gonna be back on 5:30, 5:30 comes and goes, then it's gonna be 11 o'clock. Nonsense. Nonsense.
Thank you.
Back to the right of way, do you think it would be a good idea to send a letter to all these people? Because the towns, did you?
Didn't you? No?
Send a letter to them?
To the people with the right of way, was anything sent out?
Oh, you mean as a whole? Everybody involved in it, right?
Actually,
Right.
Nancy, the sign was put up on the town side of the right of way. The piece that the town owns.
Mhm.
The other piece doesn't have the sign on it. The piece where they have a deeded right of way doesn't have the sign.
Is the piece the town owns, the one that abuts Intimate?
Well, we own
Both.
Excuse me,
We own both of them?
we're trying to conduct a meeting here if we could. I'm sorry?
The town owns both of those
Yes, they do.
25-foot
One-
strips now? Okay.
The one side has deeded right of ways. The side that is primarily owned by the town is where the sign is.
And I'm saying, is that the one that abuts Intimate's property?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But-
Correct, Randy?
correct.
But no letters were sent to the people that would be implicated, the ones who have a right of way, whichever side of it is, because they seem to be upset.
Well,
And,
that sign
you know-
isn't on that piece of property,
Okay.
or on that portion of the property.
They're upset they can't
That-
put their docks and their boats back in.
Right,
That's
right.
what they're upset about.
And other people are coming.
So, and that's not the way it is.
That's
Yeah.
exactly why they're upset.
See, I was unaware that there were 19 right of ways.
Yeah.
I was told there were
There's a lot.
5, but okay. I'm sure we'll be hearing more on this, so.
Oh, yeah.
To add one more thing, where this all started was with the garbage and everything that they're leaving behind. What is the town board's wishes with all of that?
Meaning what? By
The
garbage?
dock sections, the old boats, the platform that's down there. There's a lot of personal property on town property sitting there. And Leo had started this and brought it up to the sheriff's department, and it never went anywhere either. I know there was photos taken back then, prior to me. I'm fine to let the waters calm at this point in time, but at some point in time, we have to address the situation of all the personal
Well,
property that's down there.
I would suggest that at that point, assume that it's property owned by one or some of the 19 deeded
Oh, yeah,
people.
sure it is.
And maybe at that point, send a letter that if you have any personal property on this town property, that it should be removed by such and such a date.
Or it will be removed.
Or it will be removed by the town.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, what,
Yeah.
do you wanna send such a letter or talk to them or
I don't think we should act too quickly on this. I think,
let the waters calm just a little bit?
find out what happens here within the next month or so and act accordingly.
Okay.
And would Bob know all the people that have right-of-ways to that?
I'm sorry?
Would Bob be aware of all the people that have right-of-ways to that property?
No, I can't
Probably
imagine.
the assessor.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. You'd have to
No.
read all the deeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I met with Dan Fife earlier today, and we went over some of this, and just food for thought, it might be to the best interest of the town to sell that piece of property.
You can't.
There you go.
And the deed says we can't. If you read the deed on that property.
Cannot be sold
It
then?
states that the town cannot sell that property.
Didn't see that in the
was a
deed we
great
read.
deal that somebody worked out.
I don't know, I read it in one of the deeds on that.
Yeah,
Maybe
it wasn't in the one that we pulled the other day.
Okay, no, but
Yeah,
there is,
there is some
somewhere
of that too.
with Osborne's, but I can look for that. Double check.
Okay, good. All right, next thing that just came up, Mike bring this in, there's a petition going around to request that the town lower the speed limit on Tamarack Road, Fish Mountain Road, and Fawn Lake Road. Randy, can you run through the procedure of doing this, please?
I will gladly forward that through.
Okay,
I bring it to Tracy Elders. He will then forward it on to the state of New York.
We tried this once before.
Yeah, several times.
Mhm.
I have paperwork when Leo tried it.
that's fine, but we do have a petition here.
We have a
that
petition, so I will
We should act on it.
act on it and send this through the proper channels and get back to you. It'll probably be 2 months before they get through the process, but I will gladly forward it on.
Great, thank you.
What speed do they want it lowered? I mean, it's
30.
It's from 40 to 30.
Any other new business? Hearing none. We've all been through the bills, correct? I'll entertain for
Do
a
I get to
motion.
say anything before you close the meeting?
I'm sorry?
Do I get to say anything? I've never been to a town meeting before.
There'll be a public comment period in a moment. If you could just
okay,
hold
okay,
tight, please.
okay. I just didn't know if you all just closed,
Okay.
sorry. I came once before and I ended up in here radio meeting by accident, so,
Okay.
okay, I'm here now.
So, do we have a motion to pay the bills?
I move.
Moved by Nancy, second by Chris. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none. Public comments. Please come up to the podium and state your name, please.
I just want to tell Debbie, thank you, and Bonnie Page, I don't know, she's not here, but my father is getting older, and he double paid the taxes, and you guys were honest, and sent the checks back, and I got these 2 checks, you know, trying to help him with his bills and thing. I was like, wow, man, these are thousands of dollar checks. And I was like, call Mark Prairie, what do I do? Like, did we lose the house? She's like, no, your dad just double paid. So I just want to say that it's honestly nice that Bonnie paid and you both sent notes and sent it back, and we tossed out the thing. So I just wanted to say something good.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for being honest.
All right.
And I got a tea for you.
I didn't catch your name.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't say it. Oh, Rebecca Spear.
Okay, Rebecca Spear. Thank you. Any other public comments?
Jim Tavares, President of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm hoping that each one of you got our annual report. If you haven't gotten it, we have copies of it here. We just had our annual business meeting. I was able to offer the camp, I'm also the director of Camp Sacandaga. We offered that as a venue for the chamber dinner. A lot of fun. I had a chance to be in the rec hall, and then also moved and had dinner down in the dining hall. And it was a pretty fun event. We also, as you can see from the report, a lot of things are going well. We got some more businesses involved, and we're keeping moving forward. The farmers market is opening up on the 21st. We also have some other events and some other things that are going on. And our website hopefully will be finalized here relatively soon. We're just getting the last bit of pictures on there. Hopefully that'll be up soon. Other than that, public comment from Camp Sacandaga. On June 23rd, the gentleman who wrote the book, I forgot Marty's last name, but he wrote it on the Civil Conservation Corps. Thank you. I keep, that name just will not stick in my head. But he'll be coming to sign books. We're going to be doing a tour of the camp and offering a luncheon on June 23rd. So if anyone's interested, please come on over, check out the camp. Love to have you there.
Great, thanks, Jim. Yeah, it was a great time for the chamber.
Yeah, it
meeting.
was a really good time. I was glad to see the dining hall. The Rockford used by then.
Yep, very nice.
Yeah, I have to check together.
Any reason to go into executive session? Hearing none, we'll roundtable. Nancy? Debbie? Chris? Bob?
A question. I don't want to, I just know in the day that we live in, for the hires that work with youth, I wonder if we should do background checks.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. As the director of Camp Sacandaga, New York State Department of Health does offer a system where you put in your social security numbers, and they will give you a report back on that. I can get you more information on that. Very simple to do, very quick and easy. You send them the information back, and then they'll fax it to you. There's 3 or 4 different methods to do that, and it's at no cost. So I can get that for you if you'd like that.
I believe that we have to have permission from the applicants to do
Correct.
that, yes.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
Great.
Okay, so if you need
I mean, that's just a suggestion. I'm not,
If you need any
I'm
assistance
not trying to
with that,
run the town. I'm
Very
just saying-
simple program. It's
Yeah.
very easy to do, and we do it regularly, obviously.
And if-
for children.
I think it gives you a lot of protection, peace of mind.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
We just will have to get some type of a simplified form just to get the okay to run the background checks.
I'll talk to
Samantha.
Jim, and Jim will connect with Samantha, and, or maybe Samantha, if you can contact Jim, and, okay, great. Just copy to me too, if you could, please. Thank you. Randy, anything? Nope. Mike? And I have nothing, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Chris?
I'll say.
Second by Nancy. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
This is the host. This is the actual abstract here.
Next one. You do. The next one.
That goes on the big one.
Yeah. I don't know.